All right, Aries, welcome to your weekly forecast. This is for November 27th to the 3rd of December, 2017. And this video is for Sidereal Astrology. If you are new to the channel, check out the link down below. We're using the actual size of the constellations, which means the signs are different than mainstream astrology. And you do want to make sure you're watching this for your sidereal sign. All right, so Aries, a lot going on astrologically. Very important week. We're going to go ahead and break this down one by one, but essentially, what we have here is a full moon at the week's end on Sunday. And this is a sort of cultivating time at the end of the week. And so as we approach the weekend, more insight, more awareness, and perhaps more energy as well to move things forward. So great week for implementation with some of these things. So let's talk about Monday, Tuesday time with Mercury over Saturn. This could be a collectively serious time for our minds. We could be thinking seriously or using our minds, very seriously. And it's great to do that. Saturn can give us a bit of discipline, to use our minds there. And then also in terms of communication as well, right? Anything that is about, disciplining ourselves to maybe write or share or communicate can go well with this. Now, I also want to say too, because Mercury is your 6th house ruler, it could be emphasizing routine actually. Some of you who feel like maybe there's this new, more disciplined approach you want to take to your work or routine. Could be a really good beginning for that also at the beginning of the week. So once we get to about Wednesday, Thursday, Mars does oppose up to Uranus. And so being your ruler, this could be important for you. And this could feel like a bit of erratic energy, with oppositions up to Uranus, even almost like chaos where things are just kind of all over the place. It's not saying it will be, but it can feel like this. So it's all about balance with oppositions. And this is in the axes of your chart, which has to do with balance with your work or your routine, and then getting the rest and getting that presence really in your everyday life, or maybe your alone time, meditation, whatever it is that helps you get into that state of presence. Because the truth is over the past couple months, there's been a lot of energy with your work or your routine, the day-to-day stuff. That's the emphasis of this time period. But Uranus is coming in saying, hey, there is this freedom of peace, this freedom of letting go, of surrender, and bringing some of that into the daily routine, I think can go well. So anything about balancing that, right? Peace with what working on what you do have control over. And maybe rest with your work and things like that. Finding that middle ground can help balance that. All right, and then once we get into the weekend, this is where most of the important aspects are taking place. We have Jupiter trining up to Neptune, actually. It's a very collectively important aspect. It is taking us all the way into August of 2018. It's the first one that we're experiencing here. And this does give us a bit of very good idealism. Idealism that we're maybe having more faith, we're more accepting about just things in general, and even in terms of like compassion and understanding, this very receptive energy. So all this like energy, which is about receptivity, is in really good harmony with this. And like I said, it's going to be taking us into next year. So this is going to be involving a couple areas for you. I think all in all, it is about what is possible. Your potentials, seeing the big picture, and that really supporting the fact that a lot of you have had dreams about or ideals about just the future in general. Maybe it's your future aspirations, future hopes, wishes, and all this. And that's been Neptune in that 11th. While that can be confusing at times, if we're, really trying to pursue the future ideals, but we don't know where it's going and we're trying to figure it out, creates confusion. With this, it very much supports it, where we're willing to go with the flow with future stuff, with aspirations, and even too with stuff pertaining to friends or groups or organizations you're a part of, right? There is this now more tranquil, more accepting nature here, which can very much support you. And it's also supporting your work and routine with Jupiter finishing his transit of your 6th. So you could feel this. Second half of the week, more of that easygoingness there. Even though you're balancing some stuff with it, there is support there. And then Jupiter is going to make his way into your relationship sector. Probably next week, we'll probably start to feel that. And so easygoingness there. receptivity with that. So it's all about that. It's all about this greater sense of faith and acceptance, and it is pulling on those key areas. All right, so with that being said, though, I do want to mention that this weekend and this full moon is going to be squaring up to Neptune. Sun's going to square Neptune, so the full moon's going to square Neptune. This is, where it's more about maybe a bit of apathy or ungroundedness. So even though there's this whole new chapter about hope and idealism and stuff, which would be very positive, this particular weekend, it is about, I think, being observant of any tendencies to want to escape, to unground ourselves, or any tendencies to be apathetic or something like that. So the best way of working with squares, as a lot of you know, I always talk about squares in terms of taking action. And with Neptune, it's spiritual action. Again, meditation, getting your rest, your alone time, things like that to really help ground this, because that's what Neptune essentially is helping us do, is live more in the now moment. Now, this full moon is going to be involving your second house of your values. So essentially this weekend will be this illumination about what you value in life and your inner and outer resources. And so great to do a status check with this. And I think with the square to Neptune, to really practice gratitude and just gratitude with what we value in life, with what we have in life. And in that way to connect to our inner resources, right? Because it really is our inner resources that do result in our outer resources. So it's very spiritual. It's very good to practice spiritual sort of perspectives with this full moon and to keep things nice and grounded in the now moment. Now, with that, of course, all full moons are about opposition as well, about balance. And this is where the 8th house comes in. This is an area that's already been activated very much for you since last week, will be activated this week. And this is about depth, and it's about letting those walls come down to find what truly matters to us most in life. So while you're doing the status check in terms of the material side of things, there is this balance about the non-material, right? What truly matters, and going deep. In fact, we are going to have a lot of this emphasis here with this over the weekend. Venus is going to shift into your 8th house, so you're going to see the value of what truly matters, and even in your relationships, maybe getting into that depth and intimacy and vulnerability in them as well. And we have Mercury retrograde this weekend as well. So what's essentially going to happen here is Mercury is going to go retrograde back into your 8th house to help you get into re-examining and rethinking all this deeper stuff, where you can have more vulnerability with yourself, with life, with relationships, where you can maybe revisit some things that have to do with maybe shared resources, relying on others a bit, right? Because this full moon is, again, your inner resources, and that's great, but balancing that with the fact that we live in an interdependent world. We rely on others. We trust others, emotionally, but then also materially as well. So it's whole re-examination, and every time Mercury goes retrograde, it's always good to rethink things anyways, because he rules your 3rd house, just relearn things in general. And then also to maybe remodify your routine or your work, right? It's a time for the next few weeks to kind of redo that as well, if you're seeing that. And again, maybe how to incorporate some of this more deeper stuff in regards to that. All right, so Aries, very impactful week, but I think, the whole emphasis of it really is this full moon, this status check, bringing in that Neptune energy. It's this recurring theme, especially with Uranus in your 12th house I was talking about, bringing in that acceptance. They're living in the now moment, but doing this status check with what you value and what truly matters. And I think with this insight, it's going to be helping you pivot and shift for implementing this next week. All right, Aries, have a great week. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all very soon for the next forecast. Take care.